ask, I'll probably lie again. Not because I want to, because I don't know how to tell you how heavy today was. Sometimes I stand in the shower long after the water turns cold, just so no one can tell which drops are mine. I close my eyes, I breathe, I wait for the ache to get tired before I do. I cry so quietly, even my pillow keeps my secret. I break so slowly, even the mirror doesn't notice. If hearts could whisper, mine would only say, I'm tired. I'm so tired. Everyone thinks silence means peace, but silence can be a room full of tears. Some nights I don't want someone to save me. I only wish someone knew I was hurting. Please don't tell me to be strong. I've been strong for far too long. Just sit here, say nothing, listen to the rain. Sometimes being seen is enough. Maybe tomorrow I'll laugh again. Maybe tomorrow the sky will feel lighter. But tonight I'll let my heart be honest without feeling guilty for hurting. If you ever find this song late at night while the world is sleeping, leave your tears beside mine. We don't have to speak. We don't have to explain. We'll just let the rain carry everything we couldn't. time they stay behind my eyes, waiting for the night, waiting for the room to become quiet enough to tell the truth. I wait until the world is sleeping, until every window turns dark. Then I let my heart speak softly, not with words, just tears falling one by one. The night never interrupts, it simply stays with me. The rain never asks what's wrong, it doesn't need an answer, it falls the way I wish I could without feeling guilty for it. Some nights I sit beside the window watching the streetlights, wondering how many other hearts are awake, pretending tomorrow will be easier. I wait until the world stops listening, because sadness feels smaller when nobody can see it. I hold my own hands close, my own eyes, and quietly survive another night. If you heard my silence, you would know it isn't empty. It's filled with every sentence I couldn't say, every hug I needed, every goodbye I never understood. Maybe someday someone will notice the tiredness behind my smile. Maybe someday I won't have to hide every broken piece, but until then, the rain can keep my secrets, the moon can hear my prayers, and this little song can stay beside me until I finally fall asleep. If you ever sit with me, we don't have to talk. The silence every morning I open the curtains, I let the sunlight in, I make the room look happy even when I'm not. I brush my hair, I fix my smile, I leave the house looking like nothing hurts. People ask, how have you been? I always answer the same. My eyes getting quiet, no one hears the words I never say. I keep my tears when no one looks, inside long nights, inside slow breaths, inside songs I'll never sing out loud. I let them fall after midnight, where only the rain knows my real name. Sometimes I sit on the floor, not because there's nowhere else, because somehow the ground feels honest. I close my eyes, I count my breathing, I wait for morning to feel possible. I keep my tears behind soft smiles, behind very good at carrying sadness without making any sound. I wonder how many people walk past me every day, carrying the same invisible weight, smiling the same practice smile, hoping someone notices, afraid someone will. If you're awake, listening to this little song while your room feels too quiet, you're not strange, you're not weak, you're not alone. In this silence tonight, I leave a little light inside these words until sleep finds us both. Simply carry a little more every day until someone holds them gently. Picture frames are still the same. The flowers by the window are starting to fade. I water them anyway. Some things deserve kindness, even when struggling. I fold the blankets, clean the room, put everything back in place. Funny how easy it is to organize a house when your heart feels impossible. The house doesn't know I'm lonely. Don't ask why I'm quiet. The floor doesn't notice when I sit down and cry. Everything stays. keep the hallway light a little brighter, not because I'm afraid, because sometimes a little warmth makes the night feel less empty. My coffee gets cold, my phone stays silent, the clock keeps moving like nothing happened. Maybe that's the hardest part, the world keeps turning, even when your heart needs a moment to stop. The house doesn't know how many nights I whispered I miss myself. It doesn't know how many mornings I woke up already tired. It only knows the sound of my footsteps coming home. Maybe someday I'll walk into this room and feel lighter. Maybe someday the silence won't feel like loneliness. Maybe someday I'll sit by this window and smile, because I stayed. Tonight I don't need answers, I don't need miracles, I don't need someone to fix everything. I only need a quiet room, a little rain, a soft song, and enough strength to close my eyes one more time. Never judged me for crying. Maybe that's why I always came back here. I waited by the window for words you never said, for the truth you kept avoiding, for the tears you never shed. I imagine your forgiveness, I imagine your regret, I imagined you returning to the damage you left. I wrote 1,000 endings where you finally understood, where you saw the pieces falling and you fixed what you could. But dreams don't change the past, and wishes don't repair the pain. Sometimes the heart keeps waiting for an apology that never came. I spent years was searching for was hiding deep inside. The apology that never came was the one I gave myself that night. I remember all the evenings when I stared into the dark, when I counted every reason why I couldn't restart. I carried all your silence like a punishment I earned. I blame myself for every fire that you refused to burn. I became your understanding when you gave me confusion. I became your forgiveness when you gave me excuses. I held your broken pieces until my hands began to bleed, but nobody ever asked me what was left of me. The apology that never came doesn't control me anymore. I stopped waiting for a stranger standing outside my door. The love was real between us, the memories still remain, but I don't need your permission to walk away from pain. To the heart still waiting for someone to finally see, you don't need them to confess for your truth to be free. You don't need them to understand the nights you cried alone. You don't need their words to know how far you've grown. The apology that never came was the lesson I survived. The girl who begged for answers found them deep inside. The scars still tell the story, the tears still know my name, but I no longer live beneath the shadow of your blame. You were my deepest winter, my longest night of blue, but the apology that never came led me back to something true. I waited for you to say sorry until I realized I was the one who deserved to be heard. I found the last photograph of us hidden underneath the bed. Two people holding on to forever, two hearts that never said. I remember how we smiled there, like nothing could go wrong, like we had found a place to stay, like we belonged. But pictures only capture moments, they don't show what came after. They don't show the silent tears behind the happy laughter. They don't show the lonely nights when I called your name. They don't show how slowly I started losing my flame. A photograph can keep a memory, but it can't keep a love alive. This is the last photograph of us, the last where I learned to move on. I remember all the evenings when the room felt like a cage, when I read old conversations looking for another page. I searched for hidden reasons why love became goodbye. I blame my own reflection for every tear I cried. I became your second chances, I became your place to fall. I became the one who stayed when you stopped caring at all. I carried every memory like a suitcase full of stones. I carried a love story that I was carrying alone. This is the last photograph of us, now resting in my hands, a reminder of the person I was and the person I am. I can miss those old moments, I can honor what we knew, but I don't have to lose myself to keep remembering you. To the girl staring at the picture with tears falling down, you didn't lose your future when someone left town. You didn't lose your value when someone walked away. Some people are only seasons, not forever stays. This is the last photograph of us and the final tear I cried. The girl inside that picture is finally saying goodbye. The memories are still beautiful, the love was still true, but the life I was meant to live was waiting after you. You were my deepest winter, my longest night of blue. But the last photograph of us was the first picture of me too. I kept looking at the picture, trying to find us, until I realized I was searching for myself. There's a chair across from me. No one has sat there for a long time still. Every night I look at it like someone might quietly come home. The kettle starts to sing. I make one cup of tea out of habit. I reach for another cup, then I remember it's only me tonight. until the room knows my name, until the rain becomes the only sound, until the night feels safe enough to hold them. I folded the blanket, straightened the picture frame, opened the window just a little. Little things make the room feel alive, even when I don't. The clock keeps ticking, it never gets tired. I wish my heart knew how to keep going that easily. But tonight, one quiet breath is enough. I don't need the whole world to understand. I only need one peaceful night without pretending. One small moment where my heart can rest exactly as it is. The rain doesn't hurry, the moon doesn't explain why it shines. Maybe I don't have to explain my sadness either. Maybe tonight it's enough just to be here. If tomorrow feels lighter, I'll be thankful. If it doesn't, I'll still open the curtains. I'll still water the little plant on the windowsill. I'll still make my tea. I'll still try again, quietly, gently, one morning at a time. The chair will be empty again tonight, but maybe I don't have to be empty too. I left the ghost light burning, like you might come back home, like a little piece of hope could keep me from being alone. Your jacket's still hanging where you left it that night, a shadow on the doorway, a memory in the light. I used to walk these hallways, calling out your name, trying to find the person who never came again. I held on to the silence like it was something real, like if I waited long enough, you'd remember how to feel. But some people become ghosts before they ever leave. That ghost light in the hallway was never meant for you. shining through the darkness so I could find my way through. I spent years keeping watch for a love that disappeared. I spent nights fighting battles nobody else could hear. Now I turn off the ghost light and open up the door, because the heart you left behind is not waiting anymore. That ghost light in the hallway was always meant for me. I remember all the evenings when the rain wouldn't stop, when I counted every reason why I couldn't give up. I carried your emotions like a weight upon my chest. I gave you all my energy and forgot to get some rest. I became your safe harbor when you were lost at sea. But when my waters got heavy, you weren't there for me. I thought love meant forgiveness, no matter what was done. I thought love meant disappearing until I became no one. That ghost light in the hallway now shines a different way. It doesn't call you back anymore. It welcomes in the day. The walls still hold our memories, the floors still know our feet. But the past is just a photograph, not somewhere I should be. To the girl who kept the light on for someone walking away, you were never meant to live forever inside somebody else's yesterday. You don't need another apology, you don't need another sign. The person you've been searching for was waiting the whole time. That ghost light in the hallway is finally burning low, not because I stopped loving, but because I learned to let go. The house is still quiet, the nights are still long, but somewhere in the silence I found where I belong. You were my deepest winter, my longest night of blue. But the ghost light in the hallway led me back to me, not you. I kept the light on for you until I understood the light was never waiting. It was guiding me home. There's a room in this old house where I hid my pain away, where I folded up my sadness and pretended I was okay. I painted over the cracks so nobody would know how many nights I spent alone, trying not to let it show. I kept your pictures on the wall, like proof that we were real. But photographs don't understand the things a heart can feel. I held on to every memory like it could save my soul. But sometimes what we treasure is what keeps us from letting go. I buried all my tears here, but they were never gone. They were waiting for the morning to help me carry on. This is the house where I buried my tears, the place where I lost my voice, the place where I stayed too long, because leaving felt like a choice. I gave you all my seasons, I gave you all my life. I became your shelter through every endless night. But this house is breathing again, the walls are learning my name, the tears I buried underneath are becoming rain. I remember every midnight when the ceiling heard my cries, when I searched inside the darkness for a reason not to hide. I carried all your sadness like a suitcase in my hand. I tried to understand a heart that never tried to understand. I became your forgiveness before you knew you were wrong. I became the quiet melody when you forgot the song. I kept fixing all your broken parts while mine were falling apart. I was saving your tomorrow while losing my own heart. This is the house where I buried my tears, but I don't live there anymore. I opened every window and let the sunlight through the door. The memories can stay here, the past can have its place, but I don't have to disappear to keep loving yesterday. To the girl who cried in silence behind a locked bedroom door, you were never meant to suffer just to prove that you were yours. You were never just a healer for someone else's pain. You were a garden waiting for your own spring rain. This is the house where I buried my tears. Now flowers grow inside. The girl who lived in darkness is finally stepping into light. The scars still tell a story, the memories remain true, but the life I was meant to live was waiting after you. You were my deepest winter, my longest night of blue. But the house where I buried my tears was where I found me too. I thought my tears were the end of me, but they were only the water that helped me grow again. Every voice has gone to sleep. I wash one cup, turn off the kitchen light, walk slowly back to my room. This is the hour nobody sees. I sit at the edge of my bed, my shoes still on the floor. I don't turn on the bright light, only the little lamp beside the window. It feels kinder to tired eyes. After everyone says goodnight, I finally stop being brave. The smile can rest now. The heavy thoughts don't have to hide. I let one tear become two. I let the silence hold the rest. There's a sweater around my shoulders. It smells like clean laundry. Small comforts matter more on nights like this. I close my eyes and listen to the rain. Count with me. Tomorrow someone will ask, how was your day? I'll probably smile, I'll probably say it was okay. Not because it's true, because I don't know how to make sadness fit inside a short answer. After everyone says goodnight, the room becomes honest. The walls know my breathing, the pillow knows my tears. The moon stays outside without asking any questions. Some hearts don't need fixing tonight. Some hearts only need a quiet room, a little rain, a warm blanket, and permission to hurt without shame. If sleep comes slowly, I'll wait. If morning comes early, I'll try one soft breath, one gentle prayer, one small hope left on the windowsill. Maybe that will be enough for tomorrow. Good night to every heart that smiled today, while quietly breaking inside. May tomorrow be a little gentler. sky is still black. Morning hasn't decided to come yet. The whole house feels asleep. Even the walls are quiet. Only my eyes refuse to close. I walk barefoot to the kitchen. The floor is cold. I fill the kettle. I don't turn it on. I just stand there, holding the handle, trying to remember what peace feels like. Before the kettle sings, before the birds wake up, before the world needs anything from me, I let my heart rest exactly as it is. No smile, no pretending, no hiding, just this quiet room and me. There is a note on the refrigerator, grocery list, written in my own handwriting. Milk, bread, tea. Funny how life keeps asking for ordinary things, while my heart feels anything but ordinary. The rain slides slowly down the window. I trace one little drop with my eyes, watching it fall. Feels easier than watching my own thoughts. Some mornings begin with hope, mine begin with breathing. One slow breath, then another, until my heartbeat believes it can keep going. One more day. Maybe no one noticed how tired I became. Maybe I hid it too well, or maybe everyone is carrying something just as heavy. The kettle finally begins to sing a small sound. In a quiet house, I make my tea. Open the curtain just a little. The first light touches the windowsill. I close my eyes, hold the warm cup between my hands, and whisper very softly, I made it, not forever, just to this morning. And somehow that feels enough. Some victories are so small, no one claps but them. But waking up and trying again is still a victory. The room is dark, except for the moon on my floor. I sit beside the window, listening to the rain say everything I can't. The night feels like the only place I don't have to pretend. Today someone said you look happy. I smiled because it was easier than explaining how tired my heart has become. Some hurts learn to hide behind gentle lies. I leave my heart beside the window every night so the stars can watch over it. Maybe they know how to comfort a lonely soul. Maybe they've seen 1,000 hearts just like mine, quietly holding on. Sometimes I write letters I never send, not because I expect an answer, but because the paper never interrupts my tears. It lets every word fall gently. The rain keeps every secret. The wind never asks why I'm crying. They simply stay long enough for me to breathe again. I leave my heart beside the window, not to lose it, but to remind myself it still feels, even after everything, even after all the nights I thought I couldn't carry one more. If healing comes slowly, that's alright. Flowers don't bloom in one night. Morning never rushes the sunrise. Maybe neither should I. Tonight I'll let the tears fall softly, without shame, without hiding, without saying I'm fine. The moon can keep my quiet prayers. The rain can carry my heavy thoughts. And tomorrow, if I wake with even one small hope, that will be enough. If you ever, no one sees your quiet tears, look at the night sky. Somewhere another heart is whispering the same prayer. leaves, I sleep just fine. No one sees how long the dark stays with me. The house is quiet, the clock keeps breathing. Even silence sounds tired tonight. I hide my tears inside my pillow, so the morning won't remember. I wipe my face before the sunrise, like nothing ever happened, like my heart never broke. I fold my tears into the night, like little paper birds without a place to fly. I let them rest beside the moon, hoping she will keep my secrets too. No one knows how loud a quiet heart can be. Sometimes I whisper just to hear another voice. Sometimes I leave the lamp on, so the room feels less empty. The shadows know my name, they've stayed longer than anyone. I fold my tears one by one, like old letters never sent. I place them under tomorrow. Maybe morning will be kinder than tonight. If you looked inside my smile, you would find 1,000 rainy evenings, 1,000 words I swallowed, so nobody would worry. I fold my tears into a little song. Maybe someday someone who feels invisible will hear it and know they were never crying, completely alone. Until then, the rain can sing with me. Good night. I'll leave the window open, so the moon can carry my tears somewhere gentle. the rain knew I was awake. I made some coffee, it went cold. I never drank it. I just held the cup to feel something warm. Sometimes that's enough to make it through another morning. Maybe tomorrow I'll feel like me again. Maybe tomorrow this weight won't feel so heavy. Until then, I'll keep breathing slowly, one breath, then another, like the rain falling without asking where it belongs. I still answer every message. I still say I'm doing okay. I still smile at the right time. No one knows how tired a quiet heart can become. Sometimes I sit on the edge of my bed, listening to the silence. It never judges me, it never asks what's wrong, it simply stays. Maybe tomorrow I'll laugh without pretending. Maybe tomorrow the mirror will recognize me. Maybe tomorrow the tears will rest. Until then, I'll let the night hold me a little longer. The stars never hurry mourning, the flowers never apologize for blooming late. Maybe healing can be quiet too. Maybe it's enough just to stay. If today is all I can carry, then today will be enough. If tonight is all I can survive, then tonight will be enough. I'll leave a little hope on the windowsill, so when morning comes, it knows where to find me. I'm not as lost as I feel. Maybe I'm just walking home. Very I walk through the day like nothing is wrong. I answer the questions, I sing along. I laugh when they laugh, I say what they need. Nobody notices the sadness I keep. My hands keep moving, finish my tasks. I wear my smile like a mask. But when I get home and close the door, I feel everything I couldn't feel before. Nobody knows the weight I carry. Nobody sees the tears I hide. Nobody hears the little prayers I whisper. In the middle of the night, I look so calm from far away, but inside I'm trying to find my way. The coffee gets cold beside my bed. Too many thoughts inside my head. I stare at the ceiling, counting the cracks, wishing I knew how to bring myself back. I don't need answers, I don't need a cure. I don't need someone to promise forever. Sometimes I just need a quiet place where I can stop being strong. Nobody knows how many nights I held my tears until they hurt. Nobody knows how many times I almost gave up but kept going first. Nobody knows the silent battles that happen behind my eyes. Maybe the heart is like a house. Some rooms stay locked for years, not because there is nothing inside, because there are memories too fragile to open tonight. I'll put my hand over my heart. I'll listen to the little beat. Still here, still trying, still believing, even quietly. I don't need to be perfect. I don't need to be healed tonight. I only need one more breath, one more moment, one more little light. Nobody knew how heavy it was, but I carried it, and I'm still here. Maybe that means something. I still leave space beside me, even though you're gone. A habit from a lifetime of pretending you belong. Your side of the blanket still feels colder than before, like the room remembers footsteps that don't walk through the door. I talk to empty silence like it knows your name. I hold on to can stop the rain. I thought missing someone meant they were meant to stay, but sometimes we miss the person who was already far away. I was sleeping beside a memory while my heart stayed awake. This is the bed where your memory sleeps, but I don't sleep there anymore. I won't keep dreaming of a person who doesn't knock on my door. I gave you all my mornings, I gave you all my nights. I turned my own heart into darkness just to keep your candle bright. But the room is getting warmer, the silence doesn't hurt. The bed where your memory sleeps is finally becoming mine first. I remember all the midnight hours when I couldn't close my eyes, when I searched through every message looking for a reason why love became a battlefield, why home became a place where I had to hide my feelings just to keep your embrace. I carried your regrets like they belonged to me. I carried all your sadness until I couldn't breathe. I was trying to save you from storms you wouldn't fight, while my own heart was drowning slowly every night. This is the bed where your memory sleeps, and now I let it rest. I don't have to keep reopening a wound inside my chest. The love was real, the pain was real, the tears were real too, but something being real doesn't mean it was good for you. To the girl who held the pillow when nobody held her hand, you were never too much to love, you were just too hard to understand. You were giving out your heartbeat to someone counting the cost. You were searching for forever inside something already lost. This is the bed where your memory sleeps, but morning fills the room. The girl who cried in darkness is finally seeing through. The scars are still reminders, the past still knows my name, but I don't live inside the ashes of a once beautiful flame. You were my deepest winter, my longest night of blue. But the bed where your memory sleeps is where I finally woke up to. I thought I needed your memory to feel love again, but I found out I was the one I was waiting for. Buried so many pieces of the girl I used to be, underneath the broken promises, underneath your memory. I watered all your sadness with every tear I cried. I kept trying to save something that was already dying inside. I thought my heart Something small was growing, something I had never found. Sometimes the things that break us become the soil where we grow. Look at the flowers that grew through me after all the rain, after all the nights I thought I would never heal again. You left me with the silence, you left me with the scars, but you never saw the garden growing from the dark. They belong to me. I remember all the mornings when I couldn't feel my soul, when I smiled for everybody while breaking down alone. I carried your forgiveness before you said you were wrong. I carried all your sadness until my own was gone. I learned every reason why you couldn't stay. I defended every wound you gave away, but a heart cannot keep bleeding just to prove it loves enough. A flower cannot keep growing without a little sun. Look at the flowers that grew through me, standing in the light. The girl who lived in darkness is learning how to shine. The memories still whisper, the past still knows my name, but I don't belong forever to the person I became. I forgive the nights I waited, I forgive the tears I hid, I forgive the heart that loved you for everything it did. She was only trying to find a place where she belonged. She didn't know the strength inside was there all along. Look at the flowers that grew through me after the storm passed by. The roots became much stronger when I thought they had died. The love that I was missing was never only you. It was the love I had forgotten for myself too. You were my darkest winter, my longest night of blue. But the flowers that grew through me were always meant to bloom. I thought you buried me, but you only planted me. And from everything you broke, I learned how to grow. There are ghosts inside this house, but they don't scare me anymore. They are only old reminders of what we were before. Your voice is in the hallway, your footsteps in the floor, but every little echo doesn't hurt me like before. I used to chase the shadows, trying to bring you back, trying to rebuild a love that was already cracked. I carried all the memories like a suitcase full of stones. I didn't know I was carrying a place that wasn't home. Some ghosts don't haunt you, they just remind you that you survived. is getting quieter. The darkness feels less cold. The ghosts we left behind are finally letting go. I remember all the midnight hours when the ceiling knew my tears, when I counted every heartbeat through the longest lonely years. I blame my own reflection for the distance in your eyes. I thought if I loved harder, you would stop saying goodbye. I became your safe shelter when your world began to ride. I held your broken pieces while hiding all my pain. But love is not a battlefield where one person always loses. Love is not a prison where someone has to choose it. These are the ghosts we left behind, and they don't own me now. I don't need to carry yesterday to prove I loved you somehow. The pictures still remember, the walls still know our song, but I finally understand some things were never meant to last long. To the heart that keeps looking backward, searching through the dust, you are not the person you lost. You are the person you must trust. The love that disappeared was never all you had. There's still a whole tomorrow waiting after the past. These are the ghosts we left behind, fading into the dawn. The girl who lived in yesterday is finally moving on. The scars are still like letters from a chapter I once knew, but I don't live inside the story where I only loved you. You were my deepest winter, my longest night of blue, but the ghost we left behind led me back to something true. Led me back to something true. I thought the ghosts were here because I couldn't let you go, but they were only waiting for me to finally come home. This house used to know your footsteps before it knew my home. Every hallway held your shadow, every room felt like your home. I painted over memories, I cleaned away the pain, but every corner whispered your name again and again. I slept beside the echoes of everything we lost. I counted all the pieces, I counted all the cost. I thought a broken heart was a place I had to stay. I thought loving you forever meant slowly fading away. But even an empty house can learn the sound of a new beginning. Now this house is learning my name, not the name you gave to me, not the girl who kept on waiting, not the girl who couldn't leave. These walls have heard my crying, these floors have felt my pain, but they also heard me promise I won't disappear again. The rooms are getting brighter, the silence doesn't hurt. This house that held our memories is finally becoming mine first. I remember every midnight when I stared into the dark, trying to find the missing pieces of my own forgotten heart. I knew your favorite stories, I knew your deepest scars, I knew every road you traveled, but forgot where I was. I became your shelter when you couldn't face the rain. I became your forgiveness every time you caused me pain. I was holding up the ceiling while my own world fell apart. I was saving someone else's soul while losing my own heart. Now this house is learning my name, and I hear it in the walls. The voice I buried underneath you is finally standing tall. I don't need your footsteps, I don't need your key, I don't need someone else's love to prove I'm worthy. To the girl who stayed inside this house, waiting by the door, you were never meant to be a shadow on somebody else's floor. You were never meant to beg for sunlight from someone afraid to shine. You were always a whole universe long before you called it mine. Now this house is learning my name, and the morning fills the room. The flowers on the windowsill are finally starting to bloom. The memories are still here, the scars still tell the truth. But I don't belong to yesterday, I don't belong to you. You were my deepest winter, my longest night of blue. But the house that learned my name was the place I found me too. I thought this house was empty, until I heard my own heartbeat, living here again. I left the key on the table, right beside your old goodbye. A little piece of metal for a place where I used to hide. I spent so many seasons trying to make that house a home, but a heart cannot keep living where it feels alone. I painted over memories, I repaired every crack, I carried all the damage and never asked for it back. I held on to the doorway like it was where I belong, but sometimes staying somewhere is how you stay gone. I wasn't leaving you behind, I was finally finding me. I left the key on the table and I walked into the rain. I stopped begging for a love that only brought me pain. The house can keep our memories, the walls can keep our truth, but the life outside that doorway is where I found something new. I remember all the midnight hours when I stared into the dark, trying to find a reason to repair my broken heart. I counted every sacrifice, every tear I never showed, every time I carried you while my own heart turned cold. I became your understanding when you couldn't understand. I became your second chance again and again. I was holding up the ceiling while the foundation broke. I was drowning in the silence of every word you never spoke. I left the key on the table, but I took my soul with me. The girl who lived inside that house finally learned to breathe. I don't hate what we were, I don't erase the past, but I know a love worth keeping should never hurt like that. To the girl who kept returning to the same familiar pain, a locked door is not a home, and a storm is not your name. You don't have to keep knocking when nobody lets you in. Sometimes the greatest goodbye is where your life begins. I left the key on the table when the morning touched the sky. I left behind the questions, I left behind the why. The memories still whisper, the old house still remains, but I don't belong to yesterday or the person I became. You were my deepest winter, my longest night of blue, but the key I left on the table opened the door back to me too. I thought I was leaving a home, but I was leaving place where I forgot myself. I remember that winter when the sky turned gray, when I learned how to smile while falling apart every day. I wore your love like a blanket, even when it brought me cold. I held on to your promises, stories I was told. The fireplace was burning, but I still felt alone, because a house can be warm and still not feel like home. I watched the snow keep falling outside our bedroom door, knowing somewhere deep inside you weren't mine anymore. I spent so long surviving the winter, I forgot I was allowed to leave. That was the last winter I spent with you, the last storm I survived, the last time I buried my heart just to keep something alive. I carried all your sadness, I carried all your pain, I stood beneath your thunder and called it love again. The seasons always change, even the darkest blue, and the last winter I spent with you was the one that brought me through. I remember those midnight hours when the whole world disappeared, when I whispered to the darkness 'cause nobody else could hear. I searched for my reflection in a face I didn't know. I wonder where the girl I was had quietly gone. I became your forgiveness every time you broke my trust. I became your second chance when everything turned to dust. But hearts are not made of stone, they cannot survive forever, being someone's shelter during every kind of weather. That was the last winter I spent with you, the final night I cried, the final time I asked myself why I wasn't enough inside. I don't need your apology, I don't need you to return. Some fires only teach us by the way they make us burn. first spring I found in me too. I thought winter was where I would stay, but even the coldest nights eventually give the sun a reason to rise again. I wrote your name on paper 1,000 times before. Every word I couldn't tell you, every feeling I ignored. I wrote about the mornings when I missed the way you smiled. I wrote about the nights when I was hurting all the while. I wrote about the moments when I needed you to stay, but I erased every sentence because you were already away. The ink became my tears, the paper held my pain, a story of two people who could never be the same. Some words are never spoken because the heart already knows. This is the letter I never sent, the goodbye I couldn't say, the love I kept protecting that was already fading away. I wanted you to know I tried with all I had. I wanted you to see the pieces of me you had, but I won't send this letter. I won't chase you anymore, because sometimes closing a chapter is how you find another door. This is the letter I never sent, and the freedom I found inside. I remember every promise written underneath the stars, every dream we ever whispered, every place that felt like ours. But dreams can become prisons when only one heart stays, and love can become lonely when only one heart waits. I became your forgiveness, I became your second chance, I became the person standing when you walked away again. I carried all your sadness like it belonged to me, until I couldn't recognize the person I used to be. This is the letter I never sent, the final page of us, the last time I explained myself to someone I once trusted. I don't need you to understand, I don't need you to return. Some lessons are written in scars, some bridges only burn. To the girl holding the letter, we're shaking hands tonight. You don't need another answer, you don't need another fight. You gave love like a river, you gave more than you had, but even rivers need somewhere to rest after they run dry. shame, but because I finally understand what my heart was trying to say. The love I kept giving you was the love I needed to save. The ink has turned to ashes, the tears have turned to rain, and the girl who wrote this letter won't write it again. I wrote this letter for you, but I kept it because the person who needed to read it was me.